You're listening to the 100th edition of the Bitachon podcast, and I would like to share with all of you, the listeners to this Bitachon podcast, that Baruch Hashem, my wife and I, just had a beautiful baby boy born this past Shabbos. And if you're in the Ramat Beit Shemesh Israel area, I'd like to invite you. On Shabbos, we're going to have a Shalom Zacher and a bris in the Shul Avis Shalom. And it's appropriate that the 100th episode of Bitachon, such a great anniversary, 100 times we've learned together over the last 4 years the ideas of Bitachon. How awesome is it that we can announce such a great simcha together, which came out of Bitachon. Bitachon that Hashem would bless us with more beautiful life, children. And how appropriate that this week we'll speak about the pasuk. Those who trust in you will rejoice forever. Yiranenu, they will sing glad song. V'sasech alemai, and you will cover them with your sukkah. You will protect them. V'yaltzu v'cha oyav shemecha, and they will rejoice in you. Those who love your name. It says in Medrash Sheicher Tov, V'yismachu kol chaysevach. Each of these different parts of the pasuk, each of the separate sections refer to different things that Hashem did. The first is V'yismachu, they shall rejoice, all those who trusted in you. You find the Babylonians destroy the first temple, they exile the Jewish people to their 70-year exile, but Hashem brought out His judgment upon them. He was Noikim. What does it mean when it says they shall always sing glad songs? So the second place that we see the Jewish people rejoice is in the holiday that's about to be upon us, the holiday of Purim. The awesome Nikama, the vengeance that Hashem wrought upon Haman and his children in Modai and Paras. And you shall protect us in the days of the Greeks. That's a reference to the fact that Hashem protected us. We trusted in Him through every single challenge that we experienced. Imagine the Jewish people for the first time, for 480 years, it was 480 years from Yetzias Mitzrayim, from the time that they were exiled from Egypt. I'm sorry, not exiled, they were in the Exodus from Egypt. And it was that was when the Beis HaMikdash was built. It was another 410 years the Jewish people had the first Beis HaMikdash, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was 410 or 420. But about 850 years. It was 850 years that they were in Israel. Can you imagine the sorrow, the intensity of the loss of the first exile, much greater than the second exile. The first exile, we had never experienced exile before. We had been as a nation in Israel for 850 years. The second Beis HaMikdash, we were only there for 410 years or so. But what an important time to focus on our trust in Hashem, to remember that Hashem stands beside us throughout the difficulties, throughout the darkness, right? So we saw that the Babylonians, who had done terrible things to us, destroyed our Beis HaMikdash, sent us into exile, Hashem brought about His revenge upon them. And we saw also with Haman, who wanted to destroy us as a nation, the entire Jewish people. Hashem brought out His vengeance upon them. Right? And then in the times of the Greeks, they wanted to take away the Jewish culture. They wanted to replace it with Greek culture. And still, Hashem gave them over into the hands of the Hashmonai kings. And ultimately, those who love Hashem's name will rejoice, right? The concept of the Shem, Shemai, the name of Hashem, the name of God. So that represents, Keser represents the highest aspect of the spheres, which represents the Geula, right? So we will rejoice in Him. When there will be a final vengeance upon the nations of the world, the Western nations, Edom, the offspring of Esav, and that final vengeance, that final judgment So there will be a clear victory for the Jewish people. And so that awesome day is referred to in this pasuk. All of these geulas, all of the times that we saw, there was a bringing out of the truth, right? What does bitachon mean? It means that I believe that the truth will come out in the end. Because it's very hard to see the truth. It seems like those who do good, they're belittled by the nations of the world, by the UN, by the Americans, etc. All you need to do is turn on the radio. To see the truth come out in the end, that those who have sought evil for the Jewish people ultimately receive justice, that's a great moment. That's the moment of redemption. The moment when the one who trusts, the trust is fulfilled. That's a measure of Sheicher Tov. Now we have a piece in the Zohar. The Zohar says, Zakal chulkein de tzadikaya, ba'amadein v'amad asi. Meritorious is the chelik, the portion of the righteous in this world and in the next world. About them, the verse says, V'yismachu kol choysevach. La'olam yiraneinu. All those who trust in you, they will rejoice. They will sing forever, right? La'olam refers not only to this world, but the next world as well. V'sasech alemoy, and you will protect them. V'yaltzi v'chayev Hashemecha. Those who love your name will rejoice will rejoice. The pasuk also says in Tehillim, Ach tzadikim yodi l'shimcha yesh v'yishar mespanecha. The righteous ones will thank your name. Those who are straight will sit in front of your face. Right? So you see that there's a good thing that happens in this world, but the trust of the righteous serves them well for the next world as well. Those who trust in your name, you will not leave them. You will not leave those who seek you out. Baruch Hashem la'olam, amen v'amen. And the pasuk says, blessed is Hashem forever. Melech Hashem la'olam, amen v'amen. And the Sulam explains, Ashrei chelkem shel tzadikim lamazeh u'elam haba. These verses are all said in regards to the righteous. Those who are righteous, and here we're speaking about those who are righteous in regards to their bitachon. It's very interesting that in the davening, right, where do we speak about bitachon? We speak about bitachon in the bracha of al tzadikim, right? Those who are beteach, I was always raised in yeshiva that we should want to be tzadikim, we should want to be righteous. And the Zohar is telling us an awesome thing, that how do you get to righteousness? Why is it that the bracha of bitachon starts off with ala tzadikim, ala chasidim? What defines someone as a righteous individual, as a chassid? What does it say? Right? It says in the bracha, those who trust in your name, those are the righteous ones. Let us have a portion amongst them. Let us also be righteous. Let us also be tzadikim. How? Through bitachon. Such an awesome bracha, such an awesome blessing that we say every single day, 3 times a day. Such an opportunity to bring back home to ourselves, to remind ourselves what makes a person righteous. It's their bitachon in Hashem. And what does that afford a person? A guarantee, says the Zohar, that things are going to be good for you in this world and in the next world. So that's contained in this pasuk. Those who trust in you, they will rejoice forever. They will sing songs. That's the Zohar. It says the Radak. Yismachu kol choysevach hefech ha'oivim she'enam choysem b'cha. Those who rejoice in you those who trust in you will rejoice. It's the opposite of our enemies that do not trust in Hashem. Kasher tadiach haisam. When you push away our enemies, they don't trust in you. You push them away. Those who do trust in you will rejoice. They will rejoice. Why? What does it mean they will rejoice? They will rejoice because you have helped them. What does it mean when it says which literally means you shall be a protection, a sukkah? Hashem will be like a sukkah, like an enclosed area that protects us, that we shouldn't be damaged by our enemies. Now, it's very interesting because when we think of a sukkah, we think of an impermanent dwelling place. But what does the sukkah remind us of? As the Gemara in Sukkah says on Daf Yud Aleph, the Gemara says it's to remind us of the Hanani HaKavod, that clouds of Hashem's glory. The clouds of glory, they stood between the Jewish people and the Egyptians and swallowed up the arrows and spears and slings that the Egyptians were sending to try to attack the Jewish people as they were escaping from Egypt. It's not a coincidence that pasuk there are 3 pasukim in a row that have 72 letters exactly, which have to do with the 72-letter name of Hashem. Not going to get into that, but the foundation of this idea is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when we have Bitachon, when we have that faith, when we have that confidence in Hashem, that He will protect us. He protects us. He stands like a sukkah. What is a sukkah? It's not just an impermanent dwelling. It's something that looks impermanent. It's like a cloud. It looks like nothing, but it's solid. Hashem, we don't see Hashem. We have to infer that He's there. He's like a cloud. It's nebulous. His presence is hard to detect, but He's there. He's solid. His presence is as solid as, more solid than me and you, more solid than our reality, more solid. He's the source of reality. He's what gives reality its existence. So when we trust in Hashem, Hashem is like a sukkah, something that seems impermanent, but is actually a true protection. Our enemies cannot damage us, which, by the way, is what Eretz Yisrael is, right? That's what the land of Israel is. It seems to be that we're very vulnerable, but Eretz Yisrael is impenetrable. This is the place that has that special protection, the place that has that special divine providence. It has the cloud. Hanani HaKavod, protect us here. Let's see another explanation, which has to do with the fact that God protects the tzaddik, protects the righteous individual. And we said that who is the righteous individual? Of course, the Bitachon. We who are trying our best, we who are working on our Bitachon, our faith in Hashem. V'yismachu kol choysevach l'fishata tevarich hatzadik. Right, because the pasuk continues and says, "Ki ata tevarich tzadik Hashem kitzneh retzin tatrenu." Now the pasuk speaks about the fact that God blesses the righteous individual. He crowns him. He crowns him with protection. So that righteous individual rejoices in Hashem's protection. Maya bracha, what is this blessing? Shetaysev hashpa v'koyach sichli lidavik b'muskal. Very interesting. The blessing is that when we trust in Hashem, Hashem gives us a greater influx. He gives us power. He gives us spiritual power. What does this power do for us? It gives us an intellectual ability, a spiritual intellectual ability to be able to attach ourselves to understanding. Right? And interestingly, in Chazal, we find that spirituality is described as something which is muskal. It's something which is intellectual. But in a deeper way, it means that it's spiritual. When a person attaches himself to God, since that person is indeed attached through Bitachon, through this new understanding that he might have in his spiritual life, in his spiritual connection to Hashem, because of that, the individual who is a B'teach, the righteous individual who is trusting in Hashem, each and every one of us who is trying to be attached to Hashem. So we are raised up above mazel. We're above the way that things just roll. Rather, what happens is that Hashem, to whom we are attached, Hashem surrounds him with goodwill, and He protects him that nothing bad should happen to him. Like somebody who is carrying a tzena, which I don't know exactly what it means. Maybe it's a crown of some sort, because it says the word tatrenu, he's going to be crowned. So, when you carry the crown, let's say that this is what it means, I hope it is. But it's some kind of protective device. When you carry this crown, when you carry this protective device, it protects him. He's not afraid of anything. Imagine a prince with a crown. He's not afraid of being attacked, because everybody knows if somebody attacks the prince, the ramifications would be too great to bear. So there's a special, unique protection. We are stamped, so to speak. We are stamped with a sign that says we are protected. We are above the natural. We're living in a supernatural realm because of our bitachon. That's the Ra ben Ramuch. Okay, last idea on this pasuk, which we'll see from Reb Shamshin Raphael Hirsch. Medaber kan achar mapeles ezer rishayim. The pasuk here is talking about after some wicked people were thrown to the ground, that they were overcome. When we experience a salvation, when we experience that the evil, the wicked, are trampled, that they fall, so there's a rejoicing that those who trust in Hashem experience. It says, right, but why does it say kol? So Reb Shamshin Raphael Hirsch points out that the word kol often denotes the fact that we're including something more. It's not just the choisebach, it's kol choisebach. They will rejoice. Says Reb Shamshin Raphael Hirsch, even those who have not yet been saved, but they trust in Hashem, they also rejoice. Because they also rejoice because they see that everything is calculated, everything has an accounting. And in the end, Hashem is going to bring every single living creature to justice. Every single thing that ever happened, every time the UN voted negatively against the Jewish people, there will be a judgment for that. Those who partook in it, those who encouraged it, those who stood by. Through this recognition, through this intellectual understanding, they have the power to have patience, to endure the challenges that they experience. To endure the fact that they are being run after by their enemies. They won't be sad about it. This is what it means. They will be protected. And they will feel like they have protection. Meaning, even though they haven't yet experienced the salvation, they will still have a sensation of protection. They have that feeling that they are protected. There's nothing to fear. Why? Because it can't be that there won't be justice in the end. I have such powerful bitachon. I have such a powerful recognition that Hashem is just and fair, that it will be in the end, it must be in the end, that the good will succeed. And therefore they sit with a certain fortitude, with a sense of confidence, because they know that ultimately everything will be well. So the power of this pasuk is teaching us that we have an opportunity to rejoice. There's a simcha, whether it's in the moments to receive the salvation or it's before those moments. Right? Like we saw in the original Medrash as well, which spoke about the fact that it's talking about the simcha that we had when the vengeance was wrought upon the Babylonians, upon Haman, upon all of the enemies, the Greeks. And ultimately we're waiting for that ultimate simcha, which hopefully we will experience soon, with the fall of the nations of the world. And the truth coming out that those who trusted in Hashem all along, for 3,300 years, they are the tzaddikim, they are the righteous individuals upon whom Hashem's blessings reside. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you again next time.